And I am still here. I'm assuming you can still see me, but I'm
I can't, yeah.
okay, good. Just got a few different questions and answers I got to fill out here. Loving this. What part of town are you in? Are you getting all the, I'm assuming you're getting all the rain.
Yeah, it's raining pretty steadily right now.
Kind of liking it.
Oh, I love it.
I mean, I'm not a big rain person. I'm a sunny, but I'm like, it's been so hot, so sunny for so many days. I'm like, I'm kind of liking this heavy rain evening.
Yeah, it's great. Ground needs it.
Yes. Okay. Interview. GEL. And after this ends, I will go in and add links to this too, so that those are, I know people can look those things up, but I figured the easier you make things for people, the more likely you are they're going to take action. So,
Yeah, definitely.
all right, here we go. Good evening. Stacy here with Siouxland Magazine. I hope you guys are snuggled in and enjoying this beautiful rainstorm. I know I am. So tonight I have joining me Kevin Carty. Hi, Kevin. How are you?
Good evening. I'm great. Thank you.
Good. And Kevin is with Volunteer Siouxland. And so we are going to be talking all about that this evening. But before we do, just want to throw out a quick reminder. We are accepting 10 under 40 nominations right now, and we are getting close to deadline. August 3rd is the last day. So if you know a young professional in the Siouxland area that is making a difference, please consider nominating them. All you have to do is go to siouxlandmagazine.com, and right on the top of that website, there's a button that says 10 under 40. And if you click that, it will tell you everything you need to know. It's got a real quick and easy submission form. So you'll just fill all that out, hit submit, easy as that. I do want to mention too, that whoever you are nominating, they also have a form they have to fill out. And since we do have very little time left, make sure you let them know right away that you nominated them. They're going to be really flattered. And of course, I will, as soon as I see that come in too, as quick as I can, I will also send out an email to them to let them know that they've been nominated and that they have a part to play in that as well. But again, highly encourage you to check that out and nominate someone. It's such a fun time of year to read all about all of these amazing young individuals. There's just so many great people out there. And that's why we have such an amazing Siouxland, right? It just takes each and every one of us. So there's that. So let's dive in to Volunteer Siouxland. I hope a lot of you know what this is. But if you don't, you're going to know before the night's over. So Kevin, can you please give us a little bit more insight to Volunteer Siouxland, how it got started, what it is, all of that?
Sure. Absolutely. But before I do, I have to say there's got to be some wonderful, amazing volunteers under 40 that some folks might be thinking about nominating for that. So
great
I know there's a lot of
segue.
I know there's a lot of great young up and coming folks who are getting involved with boards and volunteering for organizations, and some people that have already done some amazing things as volunteers. So anyway, think about that, people.
I love it.
All right, so Volunteer Siouxland, I'll try to give you kind of a quick, brief history for those who don't know, and people are still just kind of realizing it's out there as a resource. But this actually sort of started in my head many years ago. If you recall, there was the Blue Zones project, which the city did, embraced quite a few years ago. I happened to be in the leadership group for that, and the area that I was kind of responsible for was volunteers. And at the time, there was a sort of a part-time volunteer center here in town that had kind of come out of a result of a response to the flood. And I'd hoped to be able to kind of connect it with that. That ended up not working out because the agency was going through some strategic planning and shifted where their focus was. And so then there was nothing in town. And so at the time I was with the Y, the CEO at the Y, and started to develop try and develop some website that could kind of serve this purpose, sort of recognizing that maybe there wasn't the resources there to be kind of the old-fashioned traditional volunteer center. You know, you'd walk into and they'd have an old Rolodex and look up opportunities for you. That's, you know, that doesn't happen anymore.
No.
So so I wanted to make something current that folks would use, but it was a kind of a outside of the WISE mission, and an expensive proposition to kind of create from scratch. But the national programs were, you know, they weren't focused locally enough, and I wanted something that was about Siouxland, about our area. And so after I left the Y, I actually partnered with Ryan Martinez, and we decided that this would be a focus of getting this up and running. And fortunately, we connected with Volunteer Iowa, the state's Volunteer Iowa Volunteer Commission, and they were utilizing a software developed by a company called Get Connected. And so we linked up with that, and it didn't have all the bells and whistles that we hoped for, but it was fantastic, and we could customize it and make it about Siouxland. And so in 2018, so it's been just over 2 years ago, we officially launched, started from scratch. And as of today, we have about 3,100 volunteers have signed up so far on it, and 150 different nonprofit organizations. So it's really grown a lot already, but we have a long way to go. So it's been exciting.
Yeah, I love that. So someone who volunteers as well, and have been on nonprofit boards. I know that's for years. I mean, that's always been the big discussion, right? The next time a fundraiser is coming up, it's, well, how do we get volunteers? Yeah. And it's a big one. How do we maintain volunteers? Volunteers. So this is fantastic because you are connecting, right? We're connecting those nonprofits and those people. So if someone out there thinks, you know what, maybe kids have graduated and gone off to college, you know, they've got more time, maybe they've retired, maybe they just decided, you know what, there's never going to be a right time, I'm going to plug in and want to start volunteering, but then they go, I'm not really sure where to start. Yeah. This can help.
Absolutely. And you put it perfectly, that it's really about connecting them. And that's the way kind of the whole plan was. We're not the traditional volunteer center where we're going to go out and seek volunteers and we're going to go out and seek opportunities. Instead, it's simply to give a platform where volunteers are people that are interested or maybe thinking about it. And it could be volunteers that once a year they do something, or maybe it's every week they do something. But they can find opportunities or things that are of interest to them, you know, find something they're passionate about. But equally, organizations can post their needs and say, you know, maybe we need help with that fundraiser, or we need help with, you know, serving people at the food pantry. We need help sorting things at the Salvation Army store. You know, whatever it happens to be, they can post them and people can find them. And the nice thing is there's sort of this whole automated background. So once a week, emails go out, and if it's in an area that you've already expressed some interest in, you'll get that email blast that says, hey, here's a new opportunity you might want to check out. And then they can connect.
Nice. So a person, let's start from this side, the person who wants to volunteer, they would go to your website.
Yep, right? volunteersiouxland.org.
Volunteersiouxland.org. And what will they see? I know we're going to have the link. I will also put the link on here so it's easy to access for all of you guys watching tonight. But before they even get on there and look into that, let's just talk them through it, what they're going to see on that website. It sounds like there's a questionnaire to find out their interests.
Yes. Well, so if they just went and they wanted to just browse, they could just look through any needs that might be current right now. They could also just browse through all of the different organizations that are on there and maybe discover something that they didn't know. Like, for example, I always use this example, but I truly didn't know that the police department uses volunteers for things like, they actually have people that will ticket for handicap parking violators, and people that will help kind of monitor the bike routes in town. So they have some neat things that you just wouldn't even know were options. So you can look that way if you just are curious, you know, what's out there, what might be of interest to me. You can do that. If you sign up, which is totally free and takes like 5 questions, you know, your name, your email, zip code or something. It's very, very simple. Then if you want to, you can go in and you can select areas of interest and also some skills that you might have and put that in there, and that kind of helps filter emails in the future. But you can give as much data as you want to or not. And it's all, of course, private and secure, so there's no issue there. And we're not really asking anything too terribly personal anyway. But that helps, it helps connect you with things that maybe you're more interested in. So, it's just so simple, really.
It is. I love it. Simple for us, but I mean, it took a lot of thought and effort on your part. So thank you for that. I love this because and this is something I think in the last several years, Siouxland has really grasped, is this idea of collaborating, right? Working together. And I feel like every year that goes by, we just do more and more of that. I love this community. I love how we rally together. And when we do that, we just go so much further and so much, and faster. And so This is just so great stuff, having every one of these organizations trying to get the word out in different ways and people just having no clue how to get plugged in. And I think that's, in my experience, is if, it's too hard to figure out, you give up sometimes, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's why I was just saying a minute ago, I'm like, we put the links in. I mean, yes, it's Volunteer Siouxland. Yes, you can Google it. Yes, you can go onto the Facebook and look, but the quicker we can connect people to information resources, the likelihood of getting engagement is just better. So.
Well, we've all become used to that, or it's kind of our habit now. Like, everything's a click away, isn't it? Or just, a quick press of my thumb on my phone. Yeah. So we're kind of, we're creatures of habit that way. And now that everything's so easy, we kind of expect it all to be that way, which, I understand. We're all the same way. Yeah.
Yes, I love what you're doing. Okay, so that's the volunteer side. So talk us through, let's say you're a nonprofit. Yeah. How do you go about getting the information to Volunteer Siouxland as far as what your needs are? How is that a form that's submitted to you? Is it something, how does that work? Talk us through that, Kevin.
Well, the easy thing for an organization is they can simply, there's a tab on there, something they click on the site that says, I'm an organization I'm interested in joining. And then it'll ask them to submit some information. So we vet them a little bit to make sure that, it's a legit nonprofit and that it is a nonprofit. We don't allow for-profits on there. And so then we'll do a little checking, and then we'll also make sure that it's the right person that has the authorization to be posting stuff for that organization. And then we'll approve it. And then as soon as that's approved, whoever they've set up as their manager can go in and post needs, can update their site, can add as much information about their organization, can even post photos, that sort of thing, so that people that come and are looking to learn more about their organization can find it. Their website, their Facebook, their Twitter account, all of that sort of thing can be linked on there, so that people can find as much or as little as they want to provide. And then they can, anytime they want to, they can post needs. Now, I will say this has been the challenge that we've learned. One of the challenges we've learned is that so many of our nonprofits, as you know, are very small, really. And they don't have the luxury of having a volunteer coordinator, a paid position. Right. So usually it's someone they teach a class in the afternoon and they do the books in the morning, and they're planning an event late in the day, and in between that, they're trying to manage volunteers. So it's often difficult for them to get in and post. So, I'm sort of trying to do more and more of helping them get those things posted, saying, send me the information, I'll create the post for you.
Oh, that's so nice.
But well, because my ultimate goal is simply to get volunteers to be able to find things, and for organizations to be able to find volunteers. I mean, we have a really, really rich history of volunteerism in this community. That's really amazing. And my goal is just to keep growing that and supporting it and making it easier. And especially when you talk about younger volunteers, their expectation is that more than, old guys like me, their expectation is that they can find things very easily and quickly online. So, that's what we're trying to do. But yeah, so it's easy for organizations. If they're not on there already, they can make that request and we'll get them on. And I do offer trainings every so often, now having to do them virtually, but that will help them kind of understand how to use it in all the different ways that they can use, because they can even track their volunteer hours through it. So volunteers can sign up
That's
They can keep track
fantastic.
of them. They can track their hours. They can, you know, all that sort of thing right through the site. So
Mm.
lots of tools there if they, you know, are able to use them.
Yeah, because I mean, I know that there's youth that need to put in so many volunteer
Yeah.
hours every
If they're
year
doing
and to be
silver
able to.
cord.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. So even I'm thinking, and I don't know if any organizations do this or big corporations, because um, I don't work for any big corporations, but maybe is that encouraged? Maybe some big corporations encourage that their employees volunteer, and do they track hours? Do you know,
Yeah.
Kevin?
In fact, I was just working with, unfortunately, right immediately before COVID, I was working with two different employers in town who were really trying to expand their employee volunteerism. And so, you know, hopefully once things get back to,
Yeah.
you know, I hate to say get back to normal, but once things are a little more open again, then hopefully we can get that back on track, because there's a real push among companies to be doing more of that kind of engagement, and
Mhm.
which is fantastic. But yeah, they do want to be able to try and track it. They also want to be able to make it easy for their employees to find opportunities that they're going to, you know, share and do together. You know, as a small group, large group, it just depends.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think that that would be a great tool for corporations
yeah.
to use.
It can make it a lot easier for them.
Mhm. Yeah, it just again, it's good. It's a good way to give back to the community as an
Yeah,
organization, and certainly a good way to. This is a little off, but a good way to brand their business, right?
yeah.
Hopefully, those employees maybe are wearing company T-shirts. And the other thing, though, the part that I love about volunteering is just the personal rewards that you get when you volunteer and you help somebody, or help an organization. It feels so good. And so just by encouraging employees, encouraging people to do this, they're going to get rewards that they might not even have expected.
Absolutely. And I think sometimes, you know, because oftentimes we think of volunteering like, you know, helping fold the napkins for the event or
Mhm.
something like that. But each of those kind of little things are huge in the value of who those organizations are serving, because, you know, when you don't have to pay for things that somebody comes and does for you, even the simplest things, it's money saved, it's time saved. It means that the folks that are focused on serving others can do that thanks to those
Mhm.
volunteers. And that's all the way up to those amazing folks around the town who do serve on boards and are part of that leadership effort and guiding organizations and helping them progress and succeed. And, you know, it just couldn't be done without them. So, you know,
Yeah.
volunteers at every level are so essential.
So I had a thought, maybe this is something that you are already doing, but what about when you were talking about napkins, what popped in my head was, and maybe I've been doing a lot of these nonprofit spotlights on Wednesdays, and you hear from, again, to your point, you hear from so many of them, it's like people don't realize how just the simplest of things really helps us out. Again, like you said, the money, the time. So I hear them say, donate like donate a package of socks, or they want items like simple items, or if you're already going to the store, just get a couple extra cans of food, drop them off. Do you guys, besides actually like physically volunteering, do you guys do anything where you also maybe put needs of those organizations? So like I could also be grabbing some items and dropping them off as well as.
We there's not a real vehicle on the site for that, but we have used like our Facebook page for that,
Mhm.
and we've
Nice.
promoted some of that. And we have a um, something that's coming up in next year that will have some of that as actual volunteer opportunities. So it
Mhm.
won't be volunteering necessarily your time to, you know, to go and help for 2 hours, but rather it'll be to help provide exactly items like you're talking about
Yeah.
that organizations might need. So there'll be some drives involved in a bigger volunteer project. So but
Fantastic.
that's next year. So
Yeah.
see how it works out
Yeah.
post COVID, hopefully.
Post COVID. So let's talk a little bit about COVID. Yeah.
Yeah.
So have things changed
Oh
for
yeah.
you guys? And if so, how? Let's talk a little bit
Well,
about that.
for volunteer Siouxland, it really slowed everything down. I mean,
Well, things are shut
just from
down.
like, yeah, I mean, from
Yeah.
our own I had a training ready to go and a couple of other things that were coming up that we had to, put off, and now we're kind of transitioning to virtual ourselves that way. But also for so many organizations that were and are still, in flux and not sure how things are going to go, and maybe they've had to even cut back on staff, or they've had to cut back on services, or a lot of them were afraid to use volunteers for a long time because they weren't sure, do I have them in? How do we keep everyone safe? That sort of thing. And so it really has for quite a while kind of slowed that down. The interesting thing is there's been some different uses of volunteers, like organizations that were using volunteers to do some virtual programming for kids, for example, and their, what they typically, if they had an after school program, they had people from outside that were helping contribute programming, reading stories or whatever.
I've seen some of those.
Yeah. And so I
that.
think the good thing that might come out of this is that there'll be, I hope, is that there'll be more organizations that are kind of ready for virtual, I hate to use the term, but virtual volunteering. Because virtual volunteering can be a lot of things, like you could even be at the office, but you're helping people that maybe are not right there. But it also can be take these new forms that where maybe you're like, I'm thinking myself and looking into the possibility for Volunteer Siouxland to try and encourage maybe retired teachers, retired professionals who could help offer some tutoring, online tutoring, remote tutoring to kids who maybe are going to still be in some sort of virtual learning situation, where they need a little bit of additional help. And maybe mom or dad, I know me, I'm useless for helping my kid with advanced algebra. So
right. I'm in the same boat.
Having somebody else, but that's an opportunity that you could do virtually. It doesn't have to be, obviously be better in person, but it can be done virtually too. So I hope what comes out of this, a good thing that comes out of this, is that we'll learn some new ways maybe to engage volunteers and to give them opportunities that will really have impact without necessarily having to be on site. Yeah,
I think that's great. And even being able to reach further than where you could before too. That's one thing I think that comes out of this whole getting more comfortable with the virtual world and using it more is, there might be people who can't, for instance, like with the art center, who might not have been able to take a class. Or I know the symphony, same thing, like they had people come on and teach how to play instruments. Well, maybe you just didn't have access to get to those locations to learn, or the funds. And so the reach now is greater. We can get to more people that might not have been able to have access.
Yeah. It shows that out of every horrible crisis, often some good things, just like I'm sure amazing medical advances will be made as a result of, a horrible situation. It's this other side of it too, is that we're going to learn different ways to do programming and different ways to offer services. And that'll be true for volunteers as well. Yeah.
When we grow, right?
Yeah.
Under the challenge.
Yeah. Mother necessity.
Yeah. Whether we like it or not, but that's
exactly. Yeah.
Well, Kevin, this has been so wonderful. I want to make sure we have touched on everything. Was there anything that I forgot to ask about, or anything else that you wanted to share with everyone before we wrap up?
No, I just hope that more people will hop online and sign up, since it's free. It doesn't take anything. And it's just an opportunity. I kind of liken it to a bulletin board or something, where a lot of announcements get pegged up, and at least you're going by the bulletin board every once in a while if you've signed up. And same for organizations. There's no reason not to. If you're a nonprofit, you need to be on there, because even if you only use volunteers once a year, to let organizations know about it, it can't hurt. And there's even this, I ran a report, maybe a year ago, maybe not quite that long ago, and gave to United Way agencies. We have a feature that's called, it's kind of like liking on Facebook. You can fan an organization, and then anytime that organization posts a new need or anything, you automatically get information. And it surprised myself. We had organizations that hadn't been on that long, and they had 250 fans that, potential volunteers that were getting their information every single time automatically.
Yeah.
And so that, it's a good tool. And so I just encourage people to check it out. Why not?
Why not?
Why not?
Love that question. Why not? So I want to challenge everybody tonight. So as we're wrapping up, you know, I often will tell people, make sure you go to their Facebook page and like it. That way you're in the feed, right? And you know what's going on. And I also really love it if you guys can share the video, because the more we share the video, the more people that see this. And again, it just makes Siouxland better. But you said, Kevin, we have what? You have like a little over 3,000 volunteers already signed up?
Yep.
Yes. So I'm gonna go, let's go big tonight. I would love to see if we can add another 1,000 people sign up. Why? I mean, I was gonna say 100.
Why
but I'm
not?
like, yeah, why do 100? Let's go. I mean, we have like a pool of 100,000 reach the full Siouxland area, something like that, right?
Yeah.
So 1,000 should be easy, but and it really, I mean, seriously, like if you got 2-3 minutes, do this. Like their Facebook page, share this video, and then go to the website and sign up. And what I would really love, so if you are a director of a nonprofit or working for a nonprofit or on the board of a nonprofit, make sure that they get engaged as well. Like Kevin said, even if it's only one thing a year you're doing, you're still part of now of this program, part of the system. You are going to be top of mind for people when they're looking through what possibilities are out there for them to volunteer. So love it for you guys to get your nonprofits engaged in this, but then also share, and add your own little message about it. Say, hey, go get on here, sign up, share it, and help our nonprofit. So that's my challenge for tonight. We're going to like the Facebook page. We are going to sign up. We are going to share this video, and we're going to get 1,000 more people volunteering.
That'd be great.
I mean, if everybody volunteered, even if it's like, I mean, think about that. If you had 100,000 people volunteering an hour or two a year, which is like nothing. Give up a movie, one thing, huge, one TV show. Huge. It's huge. And I know all of you out there, if you watch me consistently, you know I talk about this over and over, but it's really, it's true. We have so much power to shift and change the world for the better. You know, we so often go, oh, it's just me, I'm just one person, what can I do? But if every one of us switched that mindset and went, it's me, I can do this, this is something I can do, and we all contributed, we all gave an hour, we all got involved, I mean, the world just gets better and better and better. And like I said, I am so proud to be in Siouxland. Love this community, love all of you out there. Appreciate you for watching this tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. But we are going to wrap it up. I appreciate you so much, Kevin, for taking the time to be on here with me tonight.
Stacy, for having me. It was great.
Yeah. And so all of you, enjoy your evening. Also, one quick, real quick again, the new issue of Siouxland Magazine is out in stands. Bright blue new magazine stands in all the Hy-Vees, and now starting to get them out in restaurants. So you will continue to see more and more of those out there. But grab your hard copy, and if hard copy's not your thing, we have digital as well. So siouxlandmagazine.com, we've got the digital issue on there as well as all past issues, because you know, at the end of the day, it is such a content-rich publication, and nothing in here expires. I mean, that was done very intentionally, that we are just providing you so much content, stories about the wonderful people in this community, the nonprofits and the small businesses. So dive in. It's a really great night to snuggle in, do a little reading. So enjoy. Appreciate all of you out there. Have a great night. Thanks again, Kevin.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.